Balloon Boy, a character that's been in the games for over 11 years. An animatronic with an annoying laugh and a very famous quote.
Hello?
It's the first humanized animatronic that appeared in a FNAF game. But after all those years, do we even know Balloon Boy's real story? Okay, this may be something you wouldn't wonder about this character. I mean, there are plenty of other characters that are way more interesting than Balloon Boy. But that's the reason why I'm making this video. A lot of people don't talk about the weird obscure characters in FNAF. They don't have a dark backstory and are pretty forgettable. So let's change that and start investigating these characters. I'm taking a deep dive into some of FNAF's weirdest characters and see if they even have a backstory. I'm not only looking into their story, but also how many times we saw them in the games and if they have different variants. Now there are a lot of obscure characters in FNAF, especially if you look at FNAF World. So obviously I'm not covering every weird character in this video. I only look into some that I think are worth checking out. If the video goes well, I may consider making a part 2 on this. Now let's get to the first obscure character, which is Balloon Boy. Okay, he's not that weird and mysterious, and definitely not forgettable. But it's clearly the first weird character that entered the series. Instead of being based on an animal like all the other animatronics, Balloon Boy is a human. This is of course not the last time we saw a human animatronic, because later in other FNAF games we saw Baby, Ballora, Dolly and more. What made Balloon Boy stand out in FNAF 2 is that he was the first animatronic that didn't kill you. He is not able to jump scare you. So what is Balloon Boy's purpose in the game then? Well, if he reaches your office, he will tamper with your flashlight. This means you can no longer blind Foxy with the flashlight, allowing him to end your game. Of course, Foxy doesn't jump scare you immediately, which means if Balloon Boy messed up your flashlight on the last hour, you still have a small chance to survive the night. Avoiding Balloon Boy works the exact same way as all the other animatronics. You just put on your mask till he walks away. Here's a fun fact. In Help Wanted, Steelwool recreated the first 3 FNAF games in VR. In the FNAF 2 version from Steelwool, Balloon Boy won't destroy your flashlight. Instead, he jump scares you like the rest of the animatronics. But because Balloon Boy originally doesn't have a jump scare animation, Steelwool changed the model to Nightmare BB for the jump scare. Speaking about Nightmare BB, Balloon Boy got a few different versions throughout the FNAF games. You've got JJ, Phantom BB, Nightmare BB, and some skins from FNAF VR. JJ is not exactly BB. It's a different character, but it's literally a reskin of BB, so I count it as a BB version. Also, JJ is the only secret character from the Balloon Boy versions. There is a small chance in FNAF 2 that she hides underneath the desk. She's not able to jump scare you or tamper with your flashlight. She's just a secret character. Later on in Ultimate Custom Night, she did become a selectable character. Now back to Balloon Boy, because we need to know if he got a backstory. From all the research I've done, I can't really find a story for Balloon Boy. We literally have no idea what this guy's purpose is in the lore. The only things we know about Balloon Boy is that he also has his facial recognition upgrade and probably can fill up balloons with air. There is a story in the Fazbear Fright books called Sergio's Lucky Day. In this story, Sergio finds a small Balloon Boy doll that brings him luck. But even though this is a story about Balloon Boy, it's not about the real Balloon Boy animatronic. Even in the movies we don't get any information about Balloon Boy, only a scene where his head gets decapitated. There are 2 secret minigames where you play as Balloon Boy, but again, they don't show any information on this guy. So Balloon Boy's backstory is still unknown to this day. I have one last fun fact before I move on to the next character. Did you know that Nightmare BB could be considered canon to the story? After some confusion among the fans, Scott confirmed that Nightmare BB could fit in the story. What his purpose is in the lore isn't clear yet. That's up to us to find out. The next character I will talk about is quite forgettable. He only appeared in an update from a main FNAF game. After that, we've never seen this character again. I'm talking about Electrobab. This character is only seen in the Custom Night version from Sister Location. After that, we've never seen this character again. It's like it never existed. This animatronic is basically just a Bidybab with the ability to drain the power from the office. Its appearance is also exactly like a Bidybab. The only difference is that it's a bit darker with blue lights coming out of his face. To stop the Electrobab from draining your power, you have to shock it on the camera. Fun fact about the Electrobab is that he's clipping inside the ground on cam 3. You cannot see his feet, because they are underneath the ground. It's a small error Scott accidentally made. Now just like Balloon Boy, Electrobab has no backstory. There's not much information about him or the normal Bidybabs. We only know that they are smaller versions of Baby and are capable of killing a human as seen in Night 2. They also behave like little children. Now besides Electrobab, the Bidybabs also appear in other FNAF games, like UCN, Help Wanted and Help Wanted 2. Most of the time he's a small Easter egg you can find in the background. It's really hard to get those Easter eggs, since they have a very small chance to appear. Now looking back to Electrobab, he's a very weird animatronic. Because he only appeared in Sister Case's custom night, he's quite forgettable. I would like to see this character coming back in a new FNAF game. Maybe in Ruin 2, where we can find him in the sinkhole. Who knows? The next character is Old Man Consequences. This guy first appeared in FNAF World. To progress in FNAF World, you have to travel through glitched worlds. The deeper you go, the more corrupt the game gets. Fredbear warns you to not go deeper than 3 levels, because if you do, you may get stuck in there forever. If you ignore Fredbear's tip and go deeper into level 4, you find yourself in a forest with a pond. By the pond, there looks to be a crocodile that's fishing. If you walk up to him, he explains to you that you went too deep into the code and are now stuck here. Then the words "the end" will appear in the text box. There is also another ending you can get here in this glitched world. If you go to the pond and repeatedly press left and right, you can drown yourself. After that, this image shows up what looks to be a human holding 2 other persons by the shoulder or an angel with wings. This is not the last time we saw Old Man Consequences. He made a return in Ultimate Custom Night. When he appears on your screen, you have to catch a fish before the time runs out. If you miss, he will lock your monitor for a short time. Old Man Consequences is one of the characters that has a secret in UCN. If you put his difficulty on 1 and catch a fish, you again end up in a glitched world. This time Old Man Consequences has a different line. He says, "Leave the demon to his demons. Rest your own soul. There is nothing else." After that, you again need to drown yourself in the pond, which will crash the game. Now who is Old Man Consequences? We know by his name that he's either a man that had to take the consequences, or someone that explains the consequences for entering this world. Some believe that Old Man Consequences is Henry, just because he sounds very wise and intelligent, and he's a helpful person. I think it's more a random person that we've never heard from before. In UCN, it seems like he's talking to Golden Freddy, letting him know that he needs to stop torturing William Afton and let him move on to hell, so that Cassidy, the spirit inside Golden Freddy, can rest his own soul. There is a theory that the old man in the Princess Quest minigames is Old Man Consequences. They are both old, wise, and share the same color. But other than those 3 connections, there isn't more proof why they are the same character. Old Man Consequences doesn't really have a backstory, but is definitely more interesting and important than Balloon Boy and Electrobab. Next is Music Man. Before Stevel made 4 different versions out of this animatronic, it was definitely a weird obscure character. For some reason it has 6 lookalike spider legs, a huge wide mouth filled with square teeth, and he plays the cymbals. Many people believe that this animatronic performed together with the Phantom animatronics, because it has the same colors as the Funtimes and also has a speaker inside his belly. Music Man first appeared in FNAF 6. Here you can buy him for $19,000 so that you can put him on stage. Fun fact, there is a cheap way of getting Music Man. If you buy the ball pit tower for $750 and play the minigame, there's a chance you can fish out Music Man. The chance of course very low, but if you get him, you spare a lot of money. Music Man also made a return in Ultimate Custom Night as a selectable character. To avoid this jump scare, you need to make sure you don't make too much noise in the office. If you do make some noise, he will warn you with his cymbals. How louder the cymbals get, how closer he is to jump scare you. After UCN, we've never seen Music Man again, only new versions of him, like the Wind Up Music Mans, Dee Dee Music Man, Ruined Wind Up Music Mans, Ruined Dee Dee Music Man, and Big Top. From all these versions, are the Wind Up Music Mans the closest to the original design. They are literally just a smaller version of Music Man with a wind up key on the back. What I find weird on these Wind Up Music Mans is that they are already broken before Ruin. They are not in top condition. There is no explanation why they are so broken. The only information we have from these guys is that they got stolen from the display, which was probably Fanny. What I like about the Dee Dee Music Man version is that Steve will literally turn Music Man into a huge spider. But for some reason I don't find him really scary. He looks more friendly honestly. Let's go back to the original Music Man, because we need to know if he has an important backstory. Just like the other characters in this video, there's not much information about Music Man. We're almost certain it is a Phantom animatronic, so that would mean Afton Robotics made this animatronic. It could be that he's programmed to kidnap children, just like the Funtimes, but I'm not sure on that. There's something interesting about Music Man's eyes. If you take a good look into his pitch black eyes, you can see white dots in there. Now you could say this is just a reflection of the lights, but if you take different shots from Music Man, you still see those white dots. So this could mean that Music Man is possessed by a spirit. Who this dead person is unknown. One more thing we know about Music Man is that his design got stolen from Edwin Murray. Big Top was the first ever version of Music Man, but because Fazbear Entertainment took over the property, William Afton stole the design and made his own Music Man. And that's everything we know about Music Man. Even though there are many versions of him, his history is still very unclear. Let's go back to UCN, because there's a really annoying character that always messes up your run, and that's Dee Dee. Now I do say UCN, But actually, we need to go back to FNAF World. This is where Dee Dee first got introduced to the series. You can fight her in the Fazbear Hills area. She lets you play a minigame for 10 fast tokens. In this minigame, you have to catch a fish. How deeper you go with the fishing rod, how more valuable the fish gets. And that's everything she does in FNAF World. Like I said, she made a return in Ultimate Custom Night. Here she's probably one of the most annoying characters you can encounter. She's not a selectable character in the roster. Instead, there's a chance that she spawns in your office. If she appears, she will add a new contender in your run, or increase the difficulty of a selected character. This can be very frustrating if you don't know which animatronic you spawn in. For example, Toy Freddy. He can jump scare you out of nowhere. Dee Dee is also able to spawn in the secret characters that are not on the roster. Those characters are Plushtrap, Shadow Bonnie, Nightmare Chica, Bonnet, Minarinas, and Lolbit. Luckily you can prevent her from appearing in the office by using the Dee Dee Repel power-up. But unfortunately, there is another version of Dee Dee that's immune against the power-up, and that's XOR. This is a dark version of Dee Dee that rapidly spawns across your screen. She also says the same line as normal Dee Dee, but reverses that line and makes it distorted. XOR spawns in all the secret characters. She does always spawn the characters in the same order, which makes it a bit easy to learn. Now it's very rarely to get XOR on a normal run, but if you try to beat 50-20 mode, there's a 100% chance that she spawns in. So you have no other choice than to learn every secret character's game mechanic. Now Dee Dee has no backstory at all. There's nothing lore related to this character. The same thing goes with XOR. There's just no information about this character. Scott did say in Dauker's first interview that the name XOR doesn't stand for anything. It's just a random name that he came up with. One thing I noticed comparing the FNAF World Dee Dee with the UCN version is that the FNAF World Dee Dee has a much bigger button on top of her head. It's so big and stupid that it doesn't look right in my opinion. There was one character in FNAF that wasn't even introduced in a FNAF game. Actually, he even existed before FNAF. It's the character and game that led to the creation of FNAF. I'm of course talking about Chipper. Before FNAF was a thing, Scott made the game Chipper and Sons Lumberco. This was a free game you could play on your mobile. In this game, you're playing as a beaver called Tyke, the son of Chipper. Your objective is to help your dad to the lumber company, by playing minigames and interact with characters. It's basically some sort of idle game. Now this game wasn't received very well by the people. There were a lot of comments telling it was too boring and it looked way too scary. So instead of ignoring these hate comments, Scott decided to take action and listen to the feedback it got. Someone told that the game would be much better off to be a horror game. So that's what Scott did. A year later, he created the horror game Five Nights at Freddy's. Now I think you already know what happened next. The game became very popular and a lot of people loved the sit and survive gameplay. It was such a unique and new fresh way of playing a horror game. Over the years, Scott made many more different FNAF games. And later on, he worked together with Steelwool to make much bigger games for FNAF, like VR games and free roam games. Now back to Chipper, because even though he's not a FNAF character, he was the inspiration for the first FNAF game. Scott never forgot this, so he decided to give Chipper a comeback in FNAF World. He added a secret boss fight against Chipper. In this boss fight, Chipper explains that he's mad against Freddy Fazbear. He wanted his game to be the most popular game from Scott, not the Five Nights at Freddy's game, so he challenged the player to a fight. If you manage to beat him, you get rewarded by a Chipper trophy on the menu. Later on in the second update for FNAF World, Chipper got added as a playable character. To unlock this character, you have to beat Chica's Magic Rainbow minigame in under 3 minutes, which is basically just hell. It's the most annoying minigame in FNAF World. Later on in FNAF 6, a new animatronic got introduced that looked very much like Chipper. This animatronic is El Chips. It's a Mexican style beaver animatronic with almost the same name as Chipper. So even though this is not exactly Chipper the beaver, it's definitely based off of him. El Chips also returned in UCN and he did kind of return in Security Breach. He's not physically there, but he got his own restaurant in the Pizzaplex. Fun fact, did you know we could have seen a Chipper animatronic since the start of the FNAF games? When Scott made Foxy, he wasn't sure what kind of animal it needed to be. He had 3 options in mind: a fox, a wolf or a beaver. In the end, he decided that the beaver didn't fit because of Chipper, and chose the fox. Now I think it's clear that Chipper doesn't have a backstory in the FNAF lore. He only showed up in the FNAF World game. But he is actually one of the most important characters if you look at the origins of FNAF. If he never existed, FNAF would never be a thing. I wonder if we ever get to see El Chips or Chipper again in a FNAF game from Steelwool. Who knows? These were some of the weird and obscure characters I found in FNAF. Like I said on the start of the video, there are many more obscure characters in FNAF. But if I would name every single one of them, this video will take more than an hour. If the video does well and has enough likes, I may consider making a part 2. Let me know what's your favorite obscure FNAF character in the comments, and tell me what you like about him. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure you leave a like and perhaps subscribe for more FNAF content. Also, if you're in the mood for another video, then click on one of the videos that pops up on your screen.